today, in this session, we're going to be talking about the X data and O data architecture and some case studies. I'll be co-presenting with Eric Du. My name is Vernon Huey. Disclaimer slide, and let me cut into kind of the agenda. The agenda for us is really, I'm going to talk about the experience gap in XM. We'll then cover some XM integration use cases, talking specifically about the customer experience, employee experience, product experiences. We'll talk a little bit about what we're doing with the SAP Analytics Cloud products, and then we'll dive into a little bit of some integration patterns and architecture. Hopefully, this will resonate well for those of you guys who were at the keynote earlier today. So what is Qualtrics? So at Qualtrics, this is literally our culture branding. You can come into our offices and you'll see this on the wall. We live and breathe this, right? Our mission is really to transform customers into fans, products into obsessions, employees into ambassadors, and brands into icons. 80% of CEOs believe that they're delivering a superior experience, but really only 8% of their customers agree. This is what we call the experience gap. And why does Qualtrics exist? Well, we exist because we think about the experience data that's actually happening all over, right? And it happens the way we think of it in 4 discrete pillars around customer, employee, brand, and product experiences. These experiences are vital to any organization and any product that you use. Pick any product, pick any experience, pick any service that you use. Quick example off the top of my head is that my phone, right? Every one of us has a phone, probably one of the 2 dominant phone ecosystems. But how many of you actually launch apps regularly that were not native to that phone? That's part of the overall ecosystem. That's part of the experiences that really make that product and the customer experience that you actually have. In fact, when we think about in the last 15 years, 52% of the Fortune 500 companies have actually disappeared, largely because they've actually not focused on experiences. Based on a recent study, by 2027, 3/4 of today's S&P 500 may actually be replaced. Another example of this is when we look at the Consumer Price Index. Consumer Price Index, this one goes from 1960 to 2010. And you can actually see that a lot of the goods and services that CPI actually measures, they start to stagnate and actually start flatlining, right? What is the actual product lines that are starting to differentiate? It's the ones that are actually around experiences. That is clearly the direction that our culture and our society is really, really headed towards. So how do we bring these experiences together? This is what we call the X and O, but across the 4 lines of businesses, CX, PX, EX, BX, combined with you guys, if anyone has been at Sapphire or other SAP sessions, you guys have probably heard SAP runs 77% of the world's operational data. Well, this is where combining experience data and operational data is so powerful. Can really give you lots of really, really important insights. Because we know that today, that getting feedback is incredibly hard. It's disjointed, it's not centralized. Oftentimes the feedback that you get, you don't know what to do with it. And this actually happens across every one of the different listening posts, whether it's chat, messaging, mobile, CRM systems, in-store experiences. Each one of these are various listening posts that are actually important, but they're all disparate and not connected. So the way we think about it from a Qualtrics point of view is that we believe that the most open ecosystem is actually going to win XM, right? We want to actually be the fabric that really combines X and O data together, that allows our ecosystem to work in conjunction with Qualtrics to actually bring intelligence and bring these experiences to our joint partners and customers. So who do I represent within Qualtrics? So I went through and I kind of described what Qualtrics is and what XM is. I represent 2 engineering organizations within Qualtrics. Engineering Services is a team that we deploy to help onboard customers and clients onto our platform. Oftentimes we're building bespoke, unique solutions to meet their needs. Our developer platform and ecosystems engineering team is the open platform that we enable, the APIs, the SDKs, et cetera, to really serve you guys, the developers, and our partners. Our mission, subset of the overall Qualtrics mission, is that we enable the world-class partner ecosystem that brings experience management innovation to our shared customers. We do this by a few core tech tenets. First is we think about all developers. We target all developers. Everyone ranging from power users to system integrators, all the way to the range of IT developers or ISV vendors. We lead with an API-first mindset. And not only do we own the actual public API layer that is the Qualtrics API, we are also working on behalf of you guys, our developers, to work with the internal Qualtrics teams to actually promote and support their APIs, their internal APIs, to actually be public. Thirdly, open means open. We meet the clients where they are. We believe heavily in the open ecosystem. And then finally, we empower partners to enable the ecosystem, which is something I talk about often in my own team meetings, right? It's about a win-win-win. We win when our partners and our clients all jointly win. So what is the Qualtrics developer platform? XM Build, this is really features that we provide in product to allow for out-of-the-box customizations. So these are things ranging from configurations to creating low-code, no-code type of use cases where we're able to actually build events and action on those particular events as we actually listen to them in real time. XM Create, which is our API layer that we actually build to target our developer community, where they can actually call our HTTP RESTful API endpoints to get or set data. And finally, Extend, where we provide SDKs that allow you to extend the actual capabilities of the XM platform using plugins and other types of reusable, building plugins and other type of reusable components. So hopefully this was a good flyby overview of both XM as well as the developer platform and how we see kind of enabling the ecosystem. My team works in close conjunction with lots of internal SAP teams to think about how do we build and bridge X and O data together, as well as creating common use cases to enable you guys to actually serve our joint customers. So with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Eric. So please welcome Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Vernon, and thank you for the partnership and the collaboration in the past couple of months to really help us to get some early integration use cases available that we want to share with you today. So a little bit of myself, I'm Eric Du, and the enterprise architect for Intelligence Enterprise, and also the integration lead between SAP Qualtrics for Xplaza use cases. Yeah, so you have seen this presentation from the keynote this morning, right? Which John and Jorgen touched on how this integration between Qualtrics experience management platform, as well as the different business operational systems with SAP, including C4HANA, SuccessFactors, S4, and other ERP applications, and how this underneath business technology platform and the individual different kind of components have fulfilled that integration use case to make it a real case. Yeah, so in this presentation, I'm going to share some early achievements, and thanks to the collaborations in the past months with Qualtrics colleagues and the multiple SAP teams across SAP, which we want to share the first wave of the integration use cases with you today. So the first one I want to share is SAP Customer Data Cloud, which is also part of the C4HANA, which is Gigya, if you recall, the brand, the things there, and where we have the integration with the XM directly from Qualtrics, which ultimately enables the profile exchange. Both of the systems have 1.7 or 1.8 billion identities or profiles stored, and this enables immediate profile exchange, and we also enable the joint customer to be able to maintain the customer data and master data in the same place and always keep in sync. And this also gave a jump start for the Qualtrics XM program to be enabled to leverage the existing profile data to start the XM programs, including CX, EX, PX, BX right away, and be able to check all the touch points across the whole journey. And with a consent management capability from Gigya, this also enables us to be able to collect the customer profile data as well as other data with privacy and security ensured with the consent management capabilities. So the with one, we are working on the V1 right now, which is ETL process, so there's some data transformation steps in between, but it enables integration as a first step. And we are also going to work on the step 2, which will ultimately enable this real-time data exchange through webhooks and through the APIs. And in the meantime, the XM data and insight from Qualtrics will feed back to custom data cloud, which will either further supercharge the other use cases across the C4HANA pillar, including marketing, sales, service, and commerce use cases. So another use case actually connect multiple products from the C4HANA or from in the customer experience category, if we call it in that way, right? So in this particular use case, we are using SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory, which you also see the demo in the keynote today, as an orchestration layer to automate the workflow across the integration phase of different products. And in this case, we see the integration with SAP Commerce Cloud, which is an e-commerce website where you purchase product and services. And there's also integration with Service Cloud if there's some certain support or certain service taken you be created that you need to close the experience gap, and also to close the loop. And also integrate with Litmus, which is another product to actually enable the training of your sales representatives, the training of your your salespeople be able to serve their customers better. And to illustrate of this integration, I actually prepared a demo. Imagine you are planning a trip, and in this case, it's not a business trip, it's a personal trip, right? And you know where you have a fantastic plan that you want to go to great places with your loved ones, and you want to capture the great moments. And to prepare that trip, you are considering to upgrade your camera. Right? So you want to say, hey, I did some research online, you made certain capabilities that you're looking for. For example, you want to have great performance in dark lights, or you want to have a lightweight cameras that you can carry along during your hiking. And you did some research online. Ultimately, you go to a website where you start a shopping experience, right? And speaking to myself, or maybe most of us will do, is you also actually want to test the equipment, right? So I will usually go to a local store and be able to test the camera by myself and to get a personal feeling does it meet my requirement or not. I may even prepare certain questions that I would expect that the staff in the store will be able to help me to address those questions, right? And in some cases, there are maybe your question is very specific, or the staff who helping you is not knowledgeable enough, not able to answer you directly. And as a customer, I would also expect that they can capture my question and they can get back to me. And in the meantime, it would be great if they can train their sales staff on the store with that knowledge, so they can serve their customers better going forward. Yeah. So for that, this is a quick demo. It's a recorded demo. So you see this is a Commerce Cloud UI. Here I'm shopping a camera. I put it into my shopping cart. I will maybe slide a bit to save time. So I fill in the shipping address, payment information, just regular stuff, right? So ultimately lead me to place my order there. And after I place my order, I immediately get a notification in Slack saying, hey, here's a way for you to provide your feedback, right? Which is integrate with Qualtrics to enable me to provide my feedback right away after my shopping. And then I fill in this information, and I get another notification which tells me, say, hey, thank you for providing your feedback, and we will give you 5% discount in your next purchase, right? And the next time if I come to this site again, I put my another item in the place in my shopping cart, then I can see I already get this discount, 5% discount, right? Because I provided constructive feedback, right, to help this brand to improve. And in the meantime, this is a way how you can imagine that the staff in the shop floor can capture my question. So if I have a question specific to a lens or specific to a certain feature of the camera, I will be able to fill that information, or the staff will be able to fill the information on behalf of me as a customer. And this little bit code showing how this back end works with Lambda functions to enable these integrations. And then I get notifications that my question has been actually captured, and the staff of that store actually get us training session assigned automatically based on my session, based on my question, right? And this is in the litmus, right? Automatically integrate and, so they will be able to more prepare and be able to serve us as customers going forward, yeah? So, of course, this is some demo work, so you can see the quality, but we want to demonstrate what is possible, right, with combining these systems together. So here's a summary when we look into customer experience related use cases. If you see this umbrella or limbo, that's one of the intelligence enterprise business processes, which you also see in the keynote, right? So lead to cash, sales to pay, design to operate, and total workforce management. And when applied to customer experience, it's the lead to cash process, right? From I identified contact to lead opportunity all the way to the fulfillment and invoicing. And here we highlight the possibilities of the integrations between SAP, C4HANA, and the Qualtrics together, bring almost in each step of this whole process, right? So we see the integration with Gigia, with XM directly, and we see the personalized shopping experience with Commerce Cloud, and also the business extension with Cloud Platform Extension Factory. Yeah, and we're also going to demonstrate the other features in some of the use case. We have prepared a couple demos for you today, so we'll also touch on some of these other SAP technologies like SAP Analytics Cloud later in this presentation. So let's move on to the next chapter, which is employee experience. This, of course, you can imagine this will be very tight integration with success factors, like our HCM and now XM solution. And why employee experience matters, right? There's some statistics tell, the consequence if you don't do the employee experience right? There's something you cannot afford. And, for example, 77% of the people are actively looking for new jobs if the company culture is the main reason, right? Then as a management team or leadership team need to actively looking into that, why it matters, how to solve that problem. And that's a gap. And in the meantime, 90% of executives say, they say keep new hiring is a new issue. Keep new hire is an issue in their organization, no matter it's cost, process, the time to productivity, right? These are the issues we see the gap, right? If you imagine the experience gap that Vernon shared in the beginning, in this particular case, when it applied to employee experience, you already see the gap. What is the employee thinking? What is executive or HR managers thinking, right? And by bringing Qualtrics and SAP SuccessFactors solutions together, we'll be able to look into these challenges and be able to help to lead to better outcomes based on the possibilities by combining the X data and O data by integrating different solutions to turn disengaged employee into improved employee engagement and be able to also align with the business objective of the companies, right? And also help to manage the insufficient performance management one-on-one sessions between managers and the employees, and be able to help the employees to improve their performance goals and align with overall company objectives, right? And also help to facilitate a more meaningful conversation to fulfill the career progression or demand of the employees to be able for them to be able to more enjoyable and to engaged overall in the workforce. To start this journey, we actually looking into the very beginning of the employee life cycle, which is the recruiting phase. So there are studies saying that according to U.S. Department of Labor, 66% of employees will be stay longer, more than 3 years, if they have a more strict onboarding experience. So for that, we are looking into this whole recruiting life cycle. From the research phase, when you start to explore opportunities, you go to career side or a website where you see the list of opportunities. And in this phase, we already embed the digital intercept capabilities of Qualtrics within the SuccessFactors UI directly. So you will be able to already see, to provide your feedbacks on where the process you are you able to find the information you are looking for, and then the next phase, if we are interested in certain opportunities, then you start to apply, which you will usually go and upload your resume or your letter, and where we also provide the opportunity for you to be able to provide your feedback if you have all the information you need for you to be able to apply for the job. And also after that, during or after the interview process, right, we send an email or notification to hear from the candidates, right? How do they feel welcome, or the HR recruiter they are speaking to, or the interviewer they are speaking, they met with, to be able to understand how also whether he's able to understand the opportunities applying align with his or her personal career objectives. And the last phase, when you actually decide to accept that offer and be excited and want to get ready for that job, right? We also want to hear from you what actually influenced your decision, right? What we can help to continue to improve the overall recruiting process. So this is just the recruiting phase, but across the whole total workforce management process, right? We also be able to actually capture the information, provide feedback you provide, together with operational data, which is already in the HR system, like termination rate, right? But in the meantime, be able to really understand the human facts at the individual level and also at the aggregate view. What is actually impacting the overall workforce satisfaction, whether it's a clear progression, whether it's a compensation, whether it's meaningful management conversation, right? This kind of also help you to actually understand not only what's happening, but also why things are happening. This is a human fact data or X data to bring that possibility. And overall, this is across the whole process, all the way from the workforce planning, recruiting, onboarding, and during your work period about career progression, learning, performance improvement, compensation, and to benefit, all the way to leaving the company, right? We also want to make sure that the offboarding experience is also very well designed, and even these employees may willing or happy to join the company again, right? So the next set of use case we want to share is the product experience. And here you already see the demo from Keynote, which we probably were not going to replay here for the design to operate, but give a little bit more detail behind this, right? So there's some integrations that we want to highlight with S/4HANA, and in this case, it's for HANA Cloud for intelligent product design. And this phase, we enable Qualtrics as a platform to collect the feedback and be able to consolidate these feedbacks into the whole product design phase in the intelligent product design, which also connect to the enterprise architecture design, that you can actually see the impact analysis, right? What will be essentially impact the product design, the engineering process, and all the way to the product material, bill of material. And for that, we also have a short demo, which I'm going to play here. Here you provide the question you want to capture the information, the feedbacks from your users. And once you prepare that, there's an expert review of Qualtrics to help to make sure it's a well-designed XM program. Then you activate. And here, once a response from the users, you actually can see the responses directly within S/4HANA. And based on the response you receive, you create a consolidated feedback. Yeah, you can model multiple feedbacks and consolidate them together. And this case is the text may be too small. This case is about a car engine design, a hybrid car that you need both gasoline engine and motor. And here you can see the consolidated feedbacks in enterprise architecture design. So you can do the impact analysis. Here you can actually see the dependencies here, right? Dependency as a bill of material. Okay, so let me wrap up these use cases. Hopefully this is, as I said, these are the first wave of integration use cases. So the teams are actually very actively working on some of the outlier use case, and also new use case have been collected across the product managers from various SAP teams and the Qualtrics. So stay tuned, we definitely have more to share going forward. And then we also working on some integrations with SAP technologies, which is underneath the platform. You see the business technology platform in that architecture. Yeah, so there's multiple products that we have been working together, and here we want to highlight the integration with SAP Analytics Cloud, which you already see in the SuccessFactors demo, where you see that different kind of data from SuccessFactors and the Qualtrics are displayed in the same dashboard in SAP Analytics Cloud. And in this particular case, we are sharing another use case with SAP Marketing Cloud, which is account-based marketing, when you targeted for specific key accounts and you want to optimize a campaign and be able to optimize the whole value proposition and for this spotlight account to make them be able to maximize the customer value across the whole process. Yeah, so this is a dashboard that you can see that we not only showing the revenues or the opportunities, leads, right, but also showing the NPS score, which is experience management kind of X data, and also leveraging the text IQ and text analytics capabilities from Qualtrics to be able to show that word cloud to understand what are the sentiments behind these feedbacks. So for that, there's a demo we also prepared for you that here to display the entire steps. Here that from Qualtrics that you'll be able to create this NPS program, and then you actually can embed the whole link within Marketing Cloud, which you can embed the data of your customer account ID or your product ID, so you can actually automate this process and be able to correlate your marketing campaign with the feedbacks you actually collected from Qualtrics. And together, these kind of data are also joined together and feed into SAP Analytics Cloud so that you can do further analysis and leverage additional capabilities like insight to action and search to insight capabilities in SAP Analytics Cloud to achieve that. So with that, we also prepare a demo. Here is a Qualtrics platform where you create this NPS survey in Qualtrics. This is just a preview of the survey. And you can see it's available in both mobile and web. And here you distributions through a Qualtrics SM platform, and embed that information, the customer account ID from Marketing Cloud as embedded data in Qualtrics. Here are preparing email campaign templates, which we embed the account ID and using the URL from Qualtrics. So your survey response, once they receive it, can already capture the data. Then the response are captured and feed into SAP Analytics Cloud, where you can do the further analytics to deep dive or to drill down to the MPS score. And also, I may just skip this, and also capabilities that you can do further in SAP Analytics Cloud, like search to insight. You can ask additional questions based on the model, combining X data and O data. Okay, so to next move on. So to summarize, you have seen the different kind of use cases. And what we also learned through this integration journey between SAP and Qualtrics is we see quite a lot patterns which are actually repeatable, right? Maybe applicable to different kind of products and different kind of use cases. And we try to summarize them together into these integration patterns. You see there's UI integration, which Qualtrics UI, for example, the digital intercept capabilities can be embedded in SuccessFactors career site build directory, where that you can capture the feedbacks right away from your existing applications. And we also see the data integration to enable customer master data exchange with Customer Data Cloud, or the integrations with SAC to enable advanced or additional analytical use cases. And there's also workflow or process integration with the action platform, develop platform from Qualtrics, and with cloud platform integration and cloud platform extension factory. You see that in the Commerce Cloud use case, and also Marketing Cloud actually have published the integration in our API Business Hub to leverage the cloud platform integration. And of course, the master data with SuccessFactors for employee master data, and the master data with C4HANA for the customer master data. And also identity single sign-on, this kind of integration to enable the seamless use case, so user don't have to log in multiple times. This leads to this architecture diagram, right? So if you look at the integration patterns, and what we try to summarize is this integration architecture actually derived from the use case we have seen and the team has been working on. And this is just not, we don't consider this as a reference architecture. By the way, we think it's an architecture that we have seen from the use case, and we believe that it helps can be shared, want to share with the audience here, and you can look into some scenarios maybe that can leverage from here. And obviously there are different kind of use case the teams are working on, so we'll continue to evolve this architecture diagram to either further simplify it and actually be able to, even illustrate with more use cases that we can see in the coming days or going forward. With that, I think I will close my part of the presentation and welcome Vernon back to the stage, and we can stay here to address questions from you. Yeah.
maybe it was misleading, but Bill McDermott kind of said, Qualtrics is not a survey or feedback solution. So everything that I've just seen on the screen so far, coming into play with SAP, is that it's a feedback mechanism or a mechanism to collect feedback-related data. So is it a feedback tool or is it not?
I can take that example and you can add
You
on.
can go first.
Yeah, so Qualtrics, I will going to cover the capabilities of Qualtrics platform. You see a lot from the keynote as well, right? So it's not only the feedback, but listening is part of that, right? Listening, understand, and act on that, on the feedbacks. And here, of course, which we also made clear that these are the first wave of integration use cases. Some are, I would say, basic integration, some are a little bit more deeper that we see, for example, this Commerce Cloud experience integration, we also actually embed or integrate on the workflow level, right? So the action part. And of course, there's more possibilities with Qualtrics platform. Maybe Vernon, you have some other use cases as well.
Yeah, and I would add to that. Fantastic question, by the way. The question is Qualtrics just a feedback mechanism and a survey platform to collect data, right? And we think of it as it's a multi-phase thing. In order to actually gather X data, you have to have listening posts. And so that's absolutely true. For some users, their native environment is actually going to be Qualtrics because they're power users of the Qualtrics platform. And so for them, Qualtrics is really the full end-to-end solution. Right? For a different type of SAP customer or a different type of customer, listening to data and being able to move that data to a different platform to actually analyze and create different types of actions and activity, that might actually be the use case. So I think the answer to your question is very simple, but the answer is actually more complicated because it's quite use case dependent. Right? Qualtrics itself is an end-to-end platform. But it also can be merged with any other SaaS platform to create an ecosystem end-to-end solution for your customer. So that's how we think about it. Does that help?
Sure, yes.
Yeah. And we'll actually have, I think we have a session immediately following this where we'll, instead of talking about Qualtrics plus SAP integration use cases, we'll actually talk about a full end-to-end demo using Qualtrics as an end-to-end action and eventing model. So that might actually also be interesting for you.
Yeah, and by the way, Vernon, the use case we demonstrated here is also leveraging the developed platform from Qualtrics, which we will see in the next session, just in this room.
Any other questions? Thoughts? Yes.
Through your presentation, I got the impression that in the near future, Qualtrics is more integrated naturally into the SAP core product, whether it be S4, SuccessFactors, or whatever. And it looks like one of the standard functions of those applications. Is that a right or wrong?
Sorry, to repeat the question, it seems like Qualtrics is fully integrated into the C4 HANA Suite?
So, 2 or 3 years ago, SAP talked about the Leonardo, but currently, Leonardo is more integrated into the core product, like whether it be cache application or in-transit application, whatever. Is that the way that Qualtrics also follow?
So to repeat the question, so you are using the example of Leonardo, which is the intelligence part, like machine learning capabilities now. Also, Jorgen mentioned embedded in our applications. Your question is whether Qualtrics following that path to be deeply integrated in part of the SAP applications. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Qualtrics today is not fully integrated with the rest of the C4 suite products. The way we think of integration is also, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the next session, is that we're an open platform and an open ecosystem. So whether you want to use something like cloud platform integrations or Kima extension factories or native Qualtrics functionality to actually integrate your use cases along with the rest of the C4 HANA suite, you can absolutely do that. At the same time, we also have multiple work streams where we're actually trying to unify, as you saw earlier today, around the Fiora 3 kind of look and feel, so that for all of our joint customers, the look and feel is actually very similar across all of our product lines. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. Yeah.
So related question to just collecting feedback. and maybe a good two-part question. On one of your demos, you had incentivized the customer 5% discount to get the feedback. So generally speaking, do we see organizations incentivizing it with monetary value like that, or how are they actually getting customers to provide feedback? Because I feel like if not all the customers are providing feedback, then you have a select few, very much like Yelp or Google, where essentially the people that are really happy or really angry people that provide feedback, and most of the people in between actually never provide feedback at all. So how do you kind of take that into the algorithm and analysis, I guess?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. So the question is, how do we think about ways to collect feedback? Because oftentimes it's your strongest promoters or your strongest detractors who are often giving the strongest signals that we receive. And so I think it really depends on the use case, right? It's true that today, if you had a bad flight experience, where would you go to actually post it? You probably wouldn't go up to the ticket agent by default to yell, or maybe you would, but that's a more emotional response. The more likely thing you would do is you'd probably go to social media and you immediately start spamming, right? And so absolutely, there's interesting concerns there. It's one of the reasons why, from a Qualtrics point of view, we have multiple listening posts. So one use case is to actually listen to social endpoints to actually pull in and that data as X data into the Qualtrics platform. So that's actually one way. For some other use cases, it may actually be through surveys, and through a large volume of surveys. We have had years of studies as well as research where we can design the right questions to, even on a small sample size, start synthesizing what the Net Promoter Score actually looks like based on that particular type of sentiment. And so there's actually a bunch of internal in-product features that are actually driven to actually design to actually react to questions that way. And frankly, when we think about, going back to your original question around the right use cases and how do you figure out when do you use Qualtrics, when do you use SAP and other products. One of the things I've started to advise to folks who are in the field working with clients is to pick the right tool, which means there may be certain types of algorithms like this within the Qualtrics product that you only get within the Qualtrics product. And if you want to actually go do that type of sentiment analysis, you do it within Qualtrics, and if you need to shoot that out into a report through a PowerPoint or something else, then you actually go move it. But to prematurely move that data, that X data, out into another platform like Ahana or whatever, and then use SAC to activate on it, SAC may not have those same sentiment algorithms that they can actually go model. So again, it comes back to your first question around pick the right tool for the right job, and then look for what is the outcome you're trying to target. But for sure, we have those.
Yeah, so no, that's a good answer, because it sounds like now the key thing, and I'm really curious to see it sometimes, is the sentiment analysis algorithms, right? Not necessarily, and that's kind of the secret sauce of the Qualtrics pieces. The listening post gather feedback from all channels. You have a sentiment algorithm analysis that blends it all together and spits something out. But maybe curious to see kind of like demo that.
That's fantastic feedback. Thank you for that, for sure. I don't know to what degree I'm allowed to talk about that, and frankly, I'm not the area expert in the actual sentiment analysis itself as in terms of outcomes. Some of my team members are here, so feel free to offline chat and we can go from there. Yeah. Thank you for the feedback. That's fantastic.
Thanks. And just to clarify one thing, like you may just see the demo that we kind of simply export data from Qualtrics to another tool, but actually it's not the case. Like we will not only simply send data to, but also leverage the Qualtrics platform, like the sentiment capabilities, and give that insight to the business process in the operational system in SAP side.
Awesome. Any other questions? Otherwise, thank you very much. This was also my first TechEd, in the spirit of first TechEd, so I thank you guys for being an awesome audience. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.